Good afternoon and welcome to Locked On NBA Daily. On today's show, will the Thunder's defense power another championship run? And which team will have the league's best offense? It's time for some predictions on today's Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to Locked On NBA, however you're tuning in on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube. Thanks so much for making us your first listen every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Visit FanDuel.com today to get started. I'm Wes Goldberg, and today we're talking about which teams in the league will lead the league in offense and defense with some end-of-season predictions, and we're doing it with the help of Locked On's local experts, and I have two of the best with me, as always, from the Locked On Nuggets podcast. He's a senior NBA writer for the Action Network. It's Matt Moore. Matt?
Shout out to Mike Richmond from Locked On Blazers, who I thought had the best reaction to the Shaedon Sharpe extension, which is, if he doesn't get any better than and doesn't deserve this money later, then the entire rebuild is already screwed. Off to a great start for Portland.
That it is. On from the Locked On Bulls podcast, also Bears and Bulls creator for Bleacher Report, it's Haize.
Basketball is right around the corner. I can't wait to regular season games. I'm dying here.
The NBA season, to your point, Haize, tips off on Tuesday night. So we do have a couple of episodes to start the week to get you guys ready for the season. Tomorrow we're going to have our bold predictions episode, but today it's our Locked On NBA Daily 555 deal of a podcast where we predict the top 5 offenses, the top 5 defenses, and then we're going to rank the top 5 coaching staffs in the NBA. Let's jump right in. We're going to start with offense. Last season, the teams that finished with the top 5 offenses in the league, and this is according to offensive rating on NBA.com statistics, Cleveland, Boston, Oklahoma City, Denver, and New York in that order. Before coming into today's episode, guys, we each made our own predictions based on where we think the top 5 teams will finish in offensive rating for this season. We're going to show them right now on YouTube on the screen. I had Denver, the Clippers, the Knicks, the Thunder, and the Lakers. Haize, you had the Cavs, the Nuggets, the Thunder, the Knicks, and the Timberwolves. Matt, you had the Hawks, the Nuggets, the Cavs, the Thunder, and the Timberwolves. So right off the bat, at least what stands out to me, Matt, you have the Atlanta Hawks finishing with the league's #1 offense. Haize and I kind of went with the teams that finished near the top of the list last year. The Hawks were very much off the board, at least the way that last year's offensive ratings finished. Why did you move them all the way up to #1?
Yeah, so I looked at a couple of things. One, offense isn't really all that as sticky as I thought it might be. So the average finish over the last 12 seasons for the #1 offense and top is at only 4.5, and the top finish for top 3 offenses is 6.5. So you do tend to finish well, like you're still an elite offense, but you don't. It's not as sticky as you might think. The same thing's kind of true for defense. With the Hawks, what I looked at was they actually generated extremely high quality looks last year. And that's in a season where Jalen Johnson gets hurt and they're trading a bunch of guys and they're playing more developmental dudes and they're like pushing Ricochet. And now they had Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Kristaps Porzingis. And so to me, like, there's just like a really good chance I think this team is going to take really good shots and make them at a much higher rate. I actually think that there's a good chance that with a better defense, they won't be playing against set defenses so often. And there's a good chance that they'll actually come out on top.
Haize, what do you think?
I mean, if you want to get into Moneyball, yeah, I can see why you pick the Hawks. But I mean, the Hawks' engine on offense is still Trae Young, and while he's gotten better as an assist guy over the last 3 years, it still leaves you a place where you can be very inefficient. So not that I don't think the Hawks are going to put up points. I just don't know if they're going to be an efficient offense this year, and so that's where my doubts with the Atlanta Hawks come in at.
I guess if I were going to make the argument against the Hawks, it would be the 3-point shooting, right? Porzingis is a nice addition, but who else is really making threes on this team effectively? I understand the shot quality of this and the shot quality of that, Matt, but like Trae Young has never been that efficient of a 3-point shooter anyway.
Has not been.
Porzingis might be their best 3-point shooter who's getting regular minutes. Like how long do we really expect Kennard to get minutes? It just seems like everybody who has Kennard loves the idea of Kennard, and then they get Kennard in their building, and then it's like, we're actually not going to play this guy. That would be my only concern, is that they don't have enough 3-point shooting. And then I also look at them.
Put some respect on Vit's name.
How many threes is he going to take?
Enough. He'll take enough.
And then I guess he's got
God
Trae Young and
dang
Jalen
it.
Johnson can finish at the rim efficiently, but who else? Porzingis.
Nikhil Alexander-Walker.
Fair.
So, I mean, look, Vit shot 44% from 3 on 3.6 attempts per game, and he's going to play a much bigger role this season. I just think that they're really invested in him. I actually think that the more I looked at this team, the more I was kind of like, they got some sneaky weapons here. After trading Bogdan and Hunter, it was like, oh, they got rid of everybody. But now it's like, no, they just cleared space. Especially like, if Risache makes a jump, that's also huge.
Haize, you had Cleveland repeating as number one. They were number one in offensive rating last year. You have them number one again this year. Make the case for them running it back with the number one offense.
Sorry, we just got word Kobe White's going to miss the first 6 games of the season, so I'm
reeling
throwing
right
off now.
Yeah.
But I think with Cleveland, like it comes down to there's nothing that they did to get worse offensively. And I think last year that we saw, them take the next step with keeping the continuity in that starting 5, and they had injuries and stuff last year. So I'm predicting just a healthier year overall for Cleveland, and thus I don't think that their offense is gonna get any worse. I don't think anything about them, especially in the Eastern Conference. That conference has gotten weaker. I do fight back when people say the East is wide open. I think it's more open than what it was. But I think Cleveland, all those things are going to play, and Cleveland's still going to have a super high-powered offense this season.
So a reason that I didn't actually have the Cavs as high is I'm expecting them to balance out their effort defensively. I think last year they were like, we don't need to play defense. Look at our offense. And their defense was still good. Like at times it was top 10. But I think that you're going to see a lot more balance this season. I think you're going to see a little bit more lineups that are defensively balanced. Atkinson's kind of talked about this. You got Mobley kind of saying like, yeah, we got to get back to kind of being balanced on that side. And without them having Darius Garland and Max Strus to start the season, I think that's going to pull them down a little bit. Like I'd be surprised if they were able to duplicate last year's offensive success right off the bat. And that's before we get into any more injuries. So I think that they'll still be great, but just not as great.
Yeah, it's sort of the case against, right? Is they're already dealing with an injury to Max Strus, unsure what his timeline is. Ditto for Darius Garland, already dealing with an injury. Like, how long are these guys how much time are they gonna miss? And then do they have more injuries? Like Lonzo Ball, that's a nice addition. He's gonna miss games, right? We know that. So it's maybe the injury part of it is also maybe a big strike against them. I still have them in my top 5. Matt, you had them in your top 5, or did you have them? Yeah, you still have them falling to 3, so it's not like a crazy difference. We all had Oklahoma City still in our top 5. Matt, Haize, you each had Minnesota in your top 5. I left them out, even though they were on the fringe of the top 5 last year. What's the case for Minnesota climbing into this top 5? Because if they do that, plus this defense, which we're about to talk about here in a minute, I mean, it's been elite for the last 2 years. It feels like we should be talking about the Timberwolves as a championship contender, and it doesn't feel like nationally they're being talked about that way.
Only one thing holds them back, and it's turnovers. Again, so if you're asking, like, what does shot quality matter? You got to actually make the thing. Yes and no. Because honestly, like, if you have better shot quality in terms of what you're expected to produce, this is the whole 3s versus 2s thing. Like, this is a lot of that, right? And so Minnesota's shot profile is awesome. Their big thing has just been turnovers. But I think as Anthony Edwards develops and gets better and more precise, I think this is going to be a bounce back season for Dante DiVincenzo. I think that Terrence Shannon's going to give them another ball handler. I just think they'll be a little bit sharper, a little bit more cohesive. The Randall trade was pretty late, so they had to figure that out. If they reduce their turnovers, that means fewer runouts for buckets. That's how you get your defense to be better, and that's honestly how you get your offense to be better, is lowering that turnover rate. Everything else says that Minnesota is good enough to be an elite offense.
Yeah, I think having Anthony Edwards and the fact that, like, Anthony Edwards came into this league as a bad shooter. He's one of the best three-point shooters in the league. He showed a growth facilitating. So when you have somebody who just continually finds a way to add something to their game every single year on top of, I just think Minnesota is going to be a much more balanced team. They're going to have better chemistry now with Julius Randle being there even longer. I think that the Timberwolves are going to be a really, really strong team on both sides of the ball this year. And you're right. They should be talked about as a championship contender. A lot of people don't talk about them, and I don't understand why, because they've been right there the last 2 years. All they are is a good matchup or a hot playoffs away from getting to the finals.
So I want to put the graphic right back up on the board here and read it through again. I have Denver number 1 in ranking. I actually had Cleveland number 2, but we messed up on the graphic here. The Knicks, the Thunder, and the Lakers. Haize, you had the Cavs, the Nuggets, the Thunder, the Knicks, and the Timberwolves. Matt, you had the Hawks, which you already talked about, the Nuggets, the Cavs, the Thunder, and the Timberwolves. So a lot of things overlapping here, a couple of big differences. That's the offensive end. A lot of agreement, I would say, like 80% of that we agreed on. Defense, that does not seem to be the case. A lot of disagreements coming up. The Thunder won a championship powered by their defense. Will they be the league's top defense again? Most of us think that they will. Maybe another team could successfully copy their formula. We'll talk about that next. Today's episode of Locked on NBA is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. It's their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors. This is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan and stay motivated to reach peak performance. I love how the Peloton IQ system offers real-time strength coaching and actually tracks your reps, suggests the right weights, and corrects your form, making every rep safer and smarter. The swivel screen is a game changer. You can go from running on the Tread Plus to strength training without missing a beat. And the personalized class recommendations keep you engaged, so you get workouts tailored to your vibe and energy level every week. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Let's be honest, most of us can't even name all of our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth between 401ks, savings, and investments. It's easy to lose track. And that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. It's helped me organize my accounts, track my spending, and get a better handle on my investments without having to touch a spreadsheet. I love that I can review everything with my partner, see our shared goals, and make better financial decisions together. Monarch's visual dashboards and smart tools make it so much easier to understand where my money is going and how to make it work harder for me. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. Thanks again for making Locked on NBA your first listen every day. The best way to support the show is to hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Follow us on your favorite podcast app. All right, we ranked and predicted our top 5 offenses for the upcoming season. Let's do the top 5 defenses by defensive rating. This is how it finished last season. The Thunder had the number 1 defensive rating in the league by a mile. Then there was the Orlando Magic, the Clippers, the Celtics, and the Rockets. I'm going to show our list here up on the screen for those watching on YouTube. For those not, I had the Thunder number 1, the Rockets number 2, the Clippers number 3, the Magic 4th, and the Mavericks 5th. Haize, you had the Thunder, like me, number 1, Houston, like me, number 2, Orlando number 3, Cleveland number 4, and the Mavericks also number 5. Matt, you had the Toronto Raptors number 1, the Warriors number 2, the Thunder slipping to 3, the Timberwolves number 4, and the Orlando Magic at 5. Right away, again, Matt, a surprise there at number 1. Why the Toronto Raptors?
So they're applying so much ball pressure, and I just think that that's kind of be the defensive identity of this team. Number 2 in defense after the All-Star break, and again, like I'm always kind of skeptical of those numbers. I want to take a shot here with somebody to come out of nowhere, but if you look at their bigs: Jakob Poeltl, Colin Murray-Boyles, Mogbo. They have so much physicality at the center spot. On the perimeter, it's like, yeah, okay, but do you trust RJ Barrett and Emmanuel quickly? Maybe not, but Jamal Shed is so good. I think their bench is going to be outrageously good defensively. They've got so many guys, I think, that can perform defensively. You've got Scotty Barnes, who is awesome. Ingram is honestly fine at this point. I actually think Barrett is fine as well. Quickly is the only real weak point, I think, on the defensive end. So I think with their defensive style, where they're going to press so much, force turnovers, really limit, like rush you in the shot clock, those kind of things, I think the Raptors have a legit chance of being number 1.
I would like to know what I understand in Denver marijuana is legal. I would really like to know what strand of marijuana you are smoking, Matt, because the Toronto Raptors being number 1 in defensive rating. Like you talk
Canadian
about
Kush.
me and my belief in the Houston Rockets, considering where they finished last year, and you, the Toronto Raptors, you are so in on this team that is right back where they were with all these interchangeable forwards. That okay, cool, but like, what does that mean for the actual team? The Raptors have some solid talent on this team. Make no mistake about it, and they are in the Eastern Conference, and that automatically leaves them a chance to make a run. But for them to be the number 1 defensive team in the league per rating, let's clip this. Let's run it back, because if Matt is right, I will buy him a steak dinner.
Let's
There's
go.
no way in hell. There's no way.
We potentially have steak dinners, shirts with faces, moving hands going into this season. This could be a potentially loud end of the year in terms of stuff moving around.
I mean, look, I think the interesting thing kind of here is how good do you think OKC is going to be? Because we're all like, oh, they're going to be number one by a mile again. Because that's how we are in preseason. Like we're always like, well, what happened last year will happen again this year. What could possibly change? OKC's second half defense of the year flipped a little bit, just slipped a little bit. And then if you kind of go back, what you really do see is they had a lot of 3-point luck.
Yep.
They had 3-point luck, and they had injury luck outside of their centers. And I think it's totally fair for Thunder fans to be like, we didn't have a center for 3 weeks. We didn't have both centers most of the year. Totally fair. I just kind of continue to think, one, their turnover rate, I think, is unsustainable. It's very difficult to maintain those turnover rates year over year. So to me, like, the big question here is like, how good is OKC going to be defensively? Because we all agree that they're going to be top 5. The question is just like, how top 5 are they? Because that's going to make a big difference in whether they win 57, 58, a good amount of games, or 65, 70 and go for an all-time season.
Yeah, the way I thought about it, I agree with the 3-point luck. They had no team had, you could argue, better 3-point luck than the Thunder last year when they had the number 1 rated defense. They give up a ton of threes in the corners, which is kind of scary. But they also give up the threes in the corners kind of by design also. Like they're not giving up the ones that everybody wants. They're pressuring ball handlers at half court where they just sort of have to kick it forward to the corner and just hope for something. And they were so good defensively last year, Haize, that they could almost have a regression to the mean from 3-point luck and still be the number 1 defense, right? Like they were the number 1 defense in the league by 3 points per 100 possessions. They could give up 2 points per 100 possessions and still have the number 1 defense in the league.
And that's what it is. It's the margin. Like they have such a large margin of error there. Like, and they didn't lose any defenders. They're going to be some that even get better. Like that, all that is still there. Everything that made this Thunder team great defensively is still there. So, I mean, of course, a team could have a fall off, and it's hard to stay number 1, back-to-back years, because a lot of different things change. Teams prepare for you differently. You're the reigning champion now, but I think that they're just going to be so good defensively. There's still going to be a nice gap between them and whoever's number 2.
Did we think that they were going to be this good last year? I don't remember.
Defensively, yes, I think we did.
Do we think they were going to be like an all-time defense?
I don't know if we thought all
that.
time, but
yeah,
a lot of people had him number 1.
So I mean, I just think it's like an interesting question, and repeating it year over year, I think is difficult. I think I do think defense gets very impacted by luck more than we kind of realize. Which is not to say that the Thunder were lucky. They're awesome defensively. I have them 3rd. Like I still think they're going to be great, but it's a question of like how great are they going to be?
Haize, you and I both had Houston number 2. So going back with the Rockets, they were 7th in defensive rating 2 years ago, 5th last year. You and I both have them climbing up to the 2nd rated defense this year. Matt, you didn't have Houston in your top 5. I don't know how close they were to your top 5. I'd imagine they were somewhere close.
Yeah.
But Haize, can you make the case for the Rockets?
Yeah, I mean, I think look at not only what they did defensively last year. I think that they're going to be able to pick up off that. And Emlyn Thompson, Jabari Smith, like these guys are going to be kind of, their roles are going to be more straightforward now this year with having a player like Kevin Durant. And I think that Amen alone is going to take such a step. Like he looks so good in preseason. Now that doesn't always translate to the regular season, but he looks like he's ready to make that step. And I think because you don't have to rely a lot on his offense this year, of course, you're going to be able to take the growth. Having just a player like him who can legitimately guard 4 positions out on the court at any given time, just with his tenacity, that's going to help this Rockets team take a considerable step forward defensively.
My best argument against them, the only reason I have them lower, is turnovers. So I talked about Minnesota and how they're likely to be better on that. You lose Fred VanVleet, man. Like you're bringing up the ball with guys that are inexperienced. It's Reed Shepherd. It's Amen Thompson. Kevin Durant will do it, and that's fine. But I think your turnover rate, especially if you go to, if Şengün takes a bigger role in the offense, which I do think he does, that makes a more pass heavy offense with worse ball handlers. So your turnover rate's naturally going to go up playing out of Şengün in the pinch post. because that's just like what happens whenever you run more of an emotion offense. When more guys are cutting, when it's timing based, you're going to have more turnovers, and turnovers always lead to easier scores. Either it's transition or the defense is mismatched. So that's the only real reason I have them here. Like, there's no reason that Houston should not be top 5 if it's not turnovers. I have them like 6th. It's just a matter of that bump kind of bringing them down again, and it'll be fine because they're like 6th in defense, and if they're 12th or 11th or 8th in offense, that's still an elite team that's going to win 50 plus games.
I want to put the graphic back up just for a quick second. I'm going to ask this last question before we get out of this segment, but of the teams that we have listed here, which one of these teams, guys, do you think has the best chance of sort of replicating the Thunder's formula from last year, where like teams talk all the time about defense leading to offense? Nobody did that more than the Thunder last year. Maybe it doesn't have to be an historic rate. Maybe it doesn't even necessarily lead to a championship. But what's the team that makes the big run with their defense powering their offense? If any, maybe nobody.
I mean, I've got the Raptors first, so I have to say them, right? Like,
I guess so.
If I think the Raptors are going to be this really great defensive team, then they're going to be much better than everybody expects, and they're going to be, a playoff team in the Eastern Conference. I will say, like, they are the team that I was lukewarm to start the summer on them. I was kind of down on them. I went on Locked On Raptors. I got talked into a bunch of things. I saw them in preseason, and now that this team, that having seen them in preseason, I'm like, oh, this team might be good. Oh, I don't think people realize how good, like, Brandon Ingram's letting other people touch the ball. That's very exciting. So I think they could turn defense into offense, and that's a big jump, because I don't think Orlando is going to be that team this year.
So you let Sean Woodley go over there and convince you of some crap is basically what you did.
I'm weak. I know.
Okay. All right.
I'm sorry.
We're going to move on here and talk about what teams have the best coaching staffs in the league, and how much does that actually influence these teams that have the top 5 rated offenses, top 5 rated defenses. We'll talk about all of that next here on Locked On NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer that you're not going to want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I've built parlays, tried player props, even followed live lines during games. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little bit something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So, what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Today's episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Basketball season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a total headache. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout, it's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NBA tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. I love that what you see is what you pay, no hidden fees at checkout. Plus, I could see exactly what my view looked like before I bought the tickets with their in-app seat feature. Their zone deals are a game changer. You pick the section, Game Time picks your seats, and you save big. You can even find NBA tickets for under $25. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go with Game Time. Thanks again for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. The Locked On Podcast Network has a show for every team, so go check out Locked On Raptors featuring Matt Moore as he gets talked into the Toronto Raptors and making them the #1 defense in the league this year. Go check out Haize over at Locked On Bulls, where he'll have more information on Kobe White missing the first, what'd you say, 6 games of the season?
Yep, 2 weeks, first 2 weeks of the season.
Tough break for the Bulls. I'm sure you'll have more over on Locked On Bulls on how that's going to impact the start of their season. But we talked about the top 5 offenses. We talked about top 5 defenses. Let's talk about the top 5 coaching staffs. Now, obviously, we have stats for offensive rating, defensive rating, things like that. This one, way more subjective. So we're going to try to come together with a list together here on the show. But before we do that, Haize, when you think about a great coaching staff, what are the markers of that? What are you looking for? To you, like, what defines a great coaching staff?
To me, it's how do you get the most out of your roster? That's one of the things here. I know that's not a tangible thing, but that balances how do you adjust to things that happen during the game, because some coaches are really good at a game plan, but they're not really good at making adjustments to that game plan as the game ebbs and flows. And then how do you motivate your players? I think those are the kind of the pillars that I look at when it comes to a really great coaching staff.
I don't look at motivation almost at all. I think it's smoke and mirrors in the NBA. I think that Tibbs is really good at it for whatever reason. For me, it's more about it's all of the work that's done before the game starts. It's, have you installed reliable systems? Have you installed discipline? Have you installed, like, do your guys understand game plan? Do they know their personnel? Are they able to execute the concepts? Is there, like, have you communicated the information they need to do their jobs? That to me is like the most important part of this. And then it gets into all of the in-game stuff. And the in-game stuff matters because margins in the NBA are very tight. But in general, to me, it's, you are the CEO. And that means managing not only a million decisions that nobody ever thinks about and no fan is ever aware of when they're criticizing or complimenting a coach, but it's also stuff like, how do you manage egos? Like, how do you manage those relationships? That's always the part I think that's so important. And that's what leads to, I think, better performance and better motivation, is when guys are, when the relationships are strong enough to get them to buy in.
So if I were to try to define this, when I was trying to think of, okay, when I'm trying to rank coaching staffs, like what am I, like, what's the criteria that I'm looking at? And I agree with everything you guys said too, but I'm thinking like, all right, can you do it all? Right? Are you a one-trick pony? Are you just like a sideline out of bounds wizard and everybody just loves to prop you up as one of the best coaches in the league, Brad Stevens? Or do you actually do the other things that really matter, the things that Haize and Matt, you guys were talking about? So I was like, okay, I want to see all of it. I want to see all of it put together. I want to see a track record of it. I want to see player development. I want to see winning at the highest level, right? Like if you're developing a bunch of players at a low level and winning a surprising amount of games, but you haven't won in the playoffs, then I don't know that I could put you in my top 5 as a coaching staff or as a head coach. And then I also just want to see the track record. Like, do you have championships? Do you have a resume? Have you done it over a long period of time where I've seen the proof and I feel really comfortable and trust that that's going to be the case going forward? So when I was trying to think of criteria, that's what I put together. But look, Mark Daigneault won Coach of the Year last year. Is that just the answer here right now? Is he just sort of the reigning best coach, and is that the best and because of the best coaching staff in the league right now, or would we consider somebody else for that top spot at this point?
I mean, I think you have to give it to him because of the sustained success that the Thunder have had. Like he's built that. He's not a coach that inherited a great roster and then is one like he took over from Billy Donovan. And don't get me wrong, Billy Donovan definitely instilled some things in that team because that team overachieved. I think of Billy Donovan's last year too. But what Mike Daigneault has come in here and done with, a bunch of first round picks at all magically start off their first season injured, but they end up living up to a lot of the expectations. So no, Coach D is one of my favorite coaches in the NBA. Absolutely. But if you're talking about staffs, one of the teams that I do put up there as well, Wes, is actually your team, the Miami Heat. And because Eric Spoelstra, but then I also look at Chris Quinn being on that bench as well. And Chris Quinn is one of the best assistants in the game of basketball right now. And I can't wait till he gets a shot at a head coaching job. It may be in Miami because who knows, Eric Spoelstra may take over Pat Riley's job sooner rather than later. So
would you rather have Dags or Spo? Because I'd rather have Spo.
I'd rather have Spo.
Okay. Would you rather have Carlisle or Spo?
Whew. Depends on the type of team. If I had a more kind of veteran team where like a bunch of like that sweet spot of 25 to 27-year-old players that have been veterans but still are young and still growing, I'd probably rather have Carlisle, but Spo is right there too.
I think I'd rather have Spo because Carlisle has so many problems with certain players, right? Like point guards notoriously suffer under him. And like the defense hasn't been elite since he got to Indiana. The offense has been great. I think Maz is an interesting one.
Coaching staff jump in on Spo really quick.
Good and Boston. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just glad you guys said it. I didn't want to be the homer that had Spo number one.
I came, and the thing that I think too why Spo deserves so much talk is that like the Miami Heat aren't top 5 in offense. They're not top 5 in defense. They just find a way to get it done, and especially when the lights are on in some of the biggest moments. So that's why
I just think there's a top tier that have done I know that you can do the middling kind of player development, like let's get these guys ready, and then I know you can coach in the playoffs, and then I know you can outcoach other coaches in that setting and win a championship. And to me, there's only 2 coaches that have done that. It's Daigneault and Spo, like where you've just seen it for a long time.
Do you feel like he's outcoached guys in the playoffs? Because I do not with Dags.
Who we talk? Dags?
Yeah, Spo, absolutely, but not Dags.
That's fair.
You think Dag's outcoached teams?
I think Dags got outcoached by David Adelman, and I think Dags got outcoached by Rick Carlisle. And
For
I think,
sure.
I think Chris
he
Finch got
definitely in the finals,
outcoached by Chris
absolutely.
Finch.
So maybe
Like-
that's the tiebreaker here. Is like Dagnall technically coached well enough to
Yeah.
win a championship, but Spo
I think
was
that look. I
just
think
coaching
Dags is
circles.
awesome from a
That's fair.
and like executing the Thunder way. But a lot of this also, to me, if we're going to talk about it, is how do you do when you are not in the advantage?
Right.
Right? Can you flip it where you don't have the better team, you don't have the advantage, you don't have the high ground? Can you take that hill? And that's where we start getting into guys like Ty Lue.
And the
I
Joe
think
Mazzulla
Dags-
argument too, right?
And like another one, when we start talking about the actual guys that have done it, hey, Dags won Coach of the Year and won a title. That's great. Steve Kerr has 4 titles.
Yep.
Like Steve Kerr is so underrated to me as a coach. Like he's amazing. He's incredible. Like Joe Mazzulla versus Dags is a really good question. That's a really good question.
I think we'll find out more on that this year, right? Like this is the big test for Maz.
For sure.
And like Chris Finch, I actually had I have him 6th on my list here.
I haven't.
I lose a tough one. He's got 1 title in the biggest upset in NBA history. He was the GMs called him the best in-game coach adjustment coach in the league. I don't know how many times I've actually walked out of a Clipper series and been like, man, Ty Lue just killed him, just absolutely destroyed him. I don't know how many times I've done that. So like that's versus Chris Finch. I have a bunch of series where I think that's happened. I think it's like really interesting to talk about it from that playoff perspective. Dagnall, to me, one of the things that makes it tough is you almost can't separate him out of the Thunder way. Like everything that Sam Presti does to develop these, like to set the ability to develop talent, like it's a collective group effort and everybody does their job. And that doesn't mean that Dags isn't great at his job, because he is. But I am kind of like, I don't know. I would have Spo, I would have Kerr, I would have Carlisle. I think top 3. And Carlisle only has 1 title too, though. So that's another thing to consider.
Haize, would you nominate another coach that we haven't talked about yet? Just we're running up against the clock here, so I just want to try to get as many in there as possible.
No, I think we talked about all the ones that I would have at the top.
Ime Udoka was the one that I was.
Yeah, Udoka. This season may be the season where it puts me there with Udoka.
Yeah,
is what I'll say.
I'm just surprised that Haize didn't mention Doc Rivers.
I mean, if we're talking about bottom 5 coaches, absolutely, I would definitely put him on that list.
Top 5 regular season coaches. Guy wins 50 games every year with whatever roster. I mean, he does tend to pick teams with good rosters, but I think we've come to. We don't have to rank them, but I think we've got a pretty good list of the coaches here, that we kind of have a full understanding of what the top staffs in the league are at this point. But if you've liked what you've heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA wherever you get your podcasts, including on YouTube. Tomorrow, we will have our bold predictions episode, and then Tuesday night is opening night across the NBA. Thanks to Matt and Haize for their expertise every day. Thank you for making Locked On NBA your first listen. We'll see you right back here tomorrow on Locked On NBA.